All right, this special city council meeting workshop is in order. Public comments, number one. Anybody have any public comments? Was anybody on the list out there?
Didn't see it.
No? No? All right, no public comments. Number two, University of Oklahoma presentation regarding the findings from Gentlemen of the Road stopover. Gentlemen, the floor is yours. You have 5 minutes.
If y'all will,
If you'll introduce yourselves as you get started so everybody will know who you are and be thoroughly impressed with you, please.
and why you're here.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. My name is John Harris. I'm on faculty at the College of Architecture, University of Oklahoma, and we're here to, as the mayor just said, present the findings of our study. And I won't say a whole lot by way of introduction. We'll let the students sort of speak for their own work. I just, first of all, wanted to say thank you for the ability to engage our students in what is really a very unique experience. And part of that experience was also getting to know Guthrie, which is a very, very unique and special community, isn't it? And sort of part of what our project is all about is to help sort of Guthrie look down the road a little ways, right? We've, go to the next slide. We've taken on sort of a central question with wider implications. And that central question is essentially how does Guthrie become sort of a regional destination for music events? And
Can we have you go to the podium so that we can...
Get you on TV.
sure.
We don't want to cramp your style. But,
No, it's all right.
okay.
I'm so used to being in front of a classroom, right? And so I just,
Yeah.
We're kind of
that's
the
the
same.
place I moved to.
And folks, there's some chairs up here on the top on the left. Pull them over.
Well, first of all, before I move on, I wanted to say, part of this sort of the unique opportunity that this was being able to engage with the city, with the people of Guthrie, with this unique event, and also with city staff. And I think it's been an all-around really great experience, and our students have really benefited from that involvement. But like I was saying, sort of the central question is how does Guthrie become a regional music destination? And we've broken our work down into 5 components. The first 2 are very much centered around learning from this recent experience of the Gentlemen of the Road. And so the first part you'll hear about is some lessons learned from the experience itself. And then the second part will be, we did a survey of attendees of the event, and our students will talk about what the attendees look like, who they were, what they might want from the future. And then we looked at a couple of other components in terms of if Guthrie's going to continue to do outside street events in all seasons and all times of year, what that might, what might we need to think about in terms of making guests more comfortable. And then the last 2 components are about maybe some design programming for the city, both temporary and long-term. And so without talking too much more, I'll let the students talk about their work. All right, and I guess you guys come over here and introduce yourselves and let us know what you've got.
Good evening, everyone. It's good to see you guys again. I remember some of you from my interviews, so it's good to see you guys out in the crowd. My name is Royce Frost. I'm a third-year member within the Masters of Landscape Architecture division, and I'm going to present findings on our lessons learned portion. We surveyed 500 people the day of, and then, so we wanted to get perspectives of who came to the event, but also who put on the event. So our portion is going to be talking with people who helped put it on, both private and publicly. But first of all, we want to say it went really well, so we want to congratulate you guys on putting on a fine event. It was a cool experience for us, and we just want to commend you guys on such a large and fun experience. So we want to start with that. So we went into this, and we really wanted to help you guys form an identity as an entertainment district, and hopefully that people want to come back to in the future. Different respondents we interviewed throughout the process were local business owners, street vendors, private citizens, city officials, the Chamber of Commerce, and also a visiting city leader who had input on the festival as well. But we thought it was important to get both public and private perspectives because each had a different path, I guess, in the planning process and different lines of communication. So we thought that each were valuable. So when we went to each person, we kind of used these 4 questions to kind of get the conversations going. The first one was, what do you know now that you wish you knew then? We know you guys have put on many festivals, many successful festivals, but with this being so big, there's always going to be something that we can learn and kind of go back on. So that was an important question, we thought. What would you do differently in the future if you're to do another big regional festival like this? What was your lasting impression of the Gentlemen of the Road concert? And then how will the legacy of the event change Guthrie moving forward, both socially, economically, and any other way? So from those questions, we drew some parallels between the survey that we collected the day of and also the respondents that the information you gave back to us on feedback. And we came up with 4 main points that we want to give Guthrie moving forward that we feel can help better your experience in planning another event. The first one was weather, and we obviously know in Oklahoma weather is always going to be a factor, but we can also plan events so they're successful and also take into consideration the comfort of our visitors that hopefully will make them want to come back and also enjoy their experience the day of. So obviously street trees are an important factor. We know downtown there aren't many street trees, and we had a presentation on how that kind of interferes with the architectural elements of downtown, but we feel that they can also work synergetically with the architecture downtown to help really enhance people's experience and just make them feel comfortable downtown. These can be good meeting points during events and also good backdrops, just good comfort points mainly. Our second point was clear communication. I think with everyone that we talked to after the fact, communication came up a little somewhere within our conversation. So we would like to see maybe a clear defined goal at the beginning of the planning where everyone can kind of work towards this and just have clear communication throughout the whole thing. This also will help maximize efficiency and also manage expectations as we go through the planning process. And this is kind of a graphic we made of kind of the 4 main players that we felt that pumped out the Guthrie Stopover Tour. And once again, we decided that unified goal and manage expectations were really key in that. Our third point is logistics. And I guess the main thing within this is probably the trash and just keeping the whole site clean. We were told by many people it was such a clean site and just really helped add to the experience. But not only just the trash pickup and keeping it emptied throughout the experience, but also when you're dealing with companies who do production for a living, and they've done so many different events, just playing different production and festivals, it's a great time to look at what they're doing and what worked well, what didn't work well, so that when Guthrie's doing things on their own again, they can kind of learn from those experiences and use some of those processes that worked and maybe didn't work. And then our final point that we drew from our respondents was it's important to keep all the citizens on board. We all know that within a city it can't happen without its citizens, and it's important to keep them involved and make them feel that they're a crucial member and driver within an event. So, and it ultimately comes back to them in the long run anyway. So we really wanted to stress that it's important to just keep that excitement, keep the communication going within its citizens, and then hopefully the future will see more events in the future. So that was, I guess, after the fact of the festival, and now we're going to go into the logistics of how our survey was actually broken down and what our respondents were from that.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Megan Underwood.
I'm Jennifer Thomas.
And I am Trey Ingram, and we are all second-year master's students at OU in the playing program.
And so the first part of our presentation covered pretty significantly what stakeholders thought of this event, and this part focuses more on what the attendants actually felt about the event. And we would again like to emphasize how great everybody thought that this event overall went, even from the attendance standpoint. The final question on the survey that we used to gauge attendance thoughts was just an open-ended question allowing attendants to state what they wanted Guthrie to know about the event. And then we compiled all of those free response answers into a software that shows the most often said words the largest. And from that you can pull out key phrases of doing a great job, having a great event, keeping up the good work, and that they'd love to come back to Guthrie and see downtown again. You also start to see some of the improvements that were mentioned, or some of the potential improvements that were mentioned in the previous that we'll also examine from an attendance standpoint. So how this was done was a survey collected over a 2-day period with 7 people on Friday collecting and 9 on Saturday. Friday focused on the second half of the day, and Saturday went all day. And overall, we got most of our response is from downtown, so this will be representative of the people who went to downtown and would be more likely to come back for future events. We used an iPad with an app on it and also a master sheet that we could hand out and let people see the questions that we were asking. And we collected a very statistically significant 546 surveys over the course of these 2 days. So who was at this event? And we characterized demographics based on how many music events they attend, as well as the general gender and age. What we were looking for in number of events was and what we saw was that most people attended at least 2 to 5 events a year. You had some that attended much more, and very few that only attended 0 to 1 events. So there's a good possibility that people who were at this event would come back. We had a fairly even gender distribution at 56 and 44%, although when approaching a couple, females were more likely to talk if only one person talked than males, as we noticed, so we got a few more females. And we had a very interesting but very even age distribution, with about 80% falling between the ages of 18 and 34.
We did notice, if you'll go back, that there's a cane represented for 45 plus. And we did have some staff take quite an offense to that. So we just, even though I know y'all are master's students and probably not 45, not all of us over 45 have a cane. That's all I have to say.
I can promise you I don't think there's any more canes in our presentation, so you don't have to worry about that. And so another question that we asked all the people who took our survey was, what was your zip code? Because we wanted to gain a spatial grasp on where everyone was coming from. And the inner circle, which is the darkest blue, it represents a 100-mile radius around Guthrie. The middle ring is 300 miles around Guthrie, and the largest ring is 500 miles around Guthrie. And the inner ring grabs, the Tulsa area, Oklahoma City, and the 300-mile radius grabs the Dallas-Fort Worth metro area, Lubbock, Texas, Fayetteville, Springfield, and these are some cities that came up that came up most frequently in our survey. And as you can see, about 88% of all respondents came from within 300 miles of Guthrie, and that's important to note because for future events, you wouldn't have to rely on people coming, too far away from Guthrie. Whereas, if most of our respondents came from within the 500-mile, ring or greater, it might be harder for them to come back for someone that's perhaps not as well known as Mumford and Sons. And so 65% of the responders were from the state of Oklahoma, 35% were not from Oklahoma. And we kind of wanted to see how people, or how much they knew about Guthrie and if they had been here before. And about 3 out of 4 people had heard of Guthrie, and about half of those people had actually been to Guthrie. But the most important thing to note is that 96% of all survey responders said that they would come back to Guthrie for similar events. And 88% of those people are from within 300 miles. That's an easy daily drive. And then we also wanted to know how they found out about the event. And if you might notice that our percentages add up to more than 100%, but that's because they were able to select more than one response for that question. And so if you're from the state of Oklahoma, you most likely heard about the event by word of mouth. And if you weren't from the state of Oklahoma, you most likely heard about the event from the Gentlemen of the Road website. But social media also played a large role, like Facebook, Twitter, and those kinds of things.
Okay, so in this question, we asked people, while they were in downtown Guthrie, what did they enjoy the most while they were there? And nearly half of the respondents answered that they enjoyed historic downtown, simply being there, seeing the old buildings, architecture, and another quarter enjoyed the local businesses. And we just think that this is a really great asset to Guthrie, and to utilize both of these assets combined to draw visitors and to make downtown a venue for future music events. On this question, we asked people what additional attractions and activities, if Guthrie were to hold this type of event in the future, would they like to see? And almost half of the people responded beer garden, which we interpreted as people were just looking for a place to sit in the shade and a place to socialize. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a beer garden, but this is, something that people wanted to experience. And on top of that was 38% of people also wanted to see street performers, which is just another way, like while they were sitting and socializing, there would be people around to activate the space, and outside of the main venue stage, if there was to be an event stage, additional entertainers as well. And then third, you can see 32% of people would like to see an art show, which I think is a great way that you could maybe display art inside of local businesses, a way to draw people into stores, just to move people around downtown. So, this question was similar. If Guthrie were to put on a similar event, what would they like to improve? Parking, it's kind of an obvious problem when you bring 35,000 more people into town. So looking at the ones after that, I think is most important. Access to information, 23% of people commented on. And I think people just knowing what was going on downtown, if they were in the Cottonwood Flats, and just general information that volunteers were disseminating, that some people felt conflicted. And so, yeah, just access to information in general. And then lodging at 17%. I think people, other than camping, people may not have known what lodging options were available in Guthrie. So advertisement of those, I think, is really important. And then also the non-prompted responses are a good thing to look at. So the answers along the bottom are what we prompted, so we gave these as choices. The ones with stars next to them are what people answered in the other, where we had other listed. And we put on there 3 options that came up a lot without people being prompted, which was transportation inside of the venue, so maybe the trolley system or ways to get between Cottonwood Flats and downtown Guthrie. Weather, so people commented on how hot it was. And signage, which plays back into the access to information. And we also thought it was great that public safety was lower than some of the non-prompted responses. So people felt fairly safe, I think. Then we thought it would be really important to give Guthrie an idea of a target market. So we have an overall market of all of the responders, but who are the people that you're going to try to capture in future events? This is people who are located within 100 miles of Guthrie. They've attended 2 to 5 events in the past year, and they've said that they would return to Guthrie for future music events. So this is, a target market that you may want to capture. It differs slightly Not in demographics. Demographics were the same as the overall market. But in what they would like to see in additional attractions, you can see the target market wanted to see, 53% wanted to see food festivals, which is, an important thing for Guthrie to realize, that people within 100 miles would be drawn to a food festival. So maybe you can integrate that with a music event or of some sort. And then also outdoor activities came in higher, art shows, and then beer gardens were a bit lower for the target market. And then improvements were fairly similar. Parking was still number one. Access to information was a little bit higher for the target market, and lodging was a bit higher as well.
So that target market captured about 34% of those that we polled. And the point that we were trying to make by polling a target market is that to have successful events in the future, it'd be good to identify the kind of people that you want there and look at the kind of diversity of entertainment that they might like to see at future events. Because you can see it varies a little bit from overall market to target market. But that overall, this was a fantastic event, which we'd like to emphasize again. So identifying the market will be key in future events, as well as some logistics and establishing comfortable places for all types of weather, which brings us to our next study, which did a more physical analysis of downtown Guthrie.
Good evening. My name is Ying Li, and our group is responsible for the shadow analysis. And actually, we have 3 members, and they are Lei Guo, Qi Zhao, and me, and we both come from China. And we did this because we hear a lot of complaints from the on-shades issue from our survey group. And also, Guthrie wants to be a music town in the future. That means there will be a lot of outdoor activities in the future. So this analysis helped to identify the best season for Guthrie to hold their outdoor activities, and also the most comfort zones and least comfort zones, so that Guthrie can make some measures to improve their least comfort zones. We first look at the season. And we got it by studying which season will make people feel most comfortable. And this graph considers the humidity, air pressure, winds, and rains. So we could see the comfort zone is in the box. So only the spring and fall located in the box. So we get the season conclusion. That is late March, early April, and October will be much better compared to other months. But consider the tornadoes, so we think the March will be best. Right. And our second purpose is to identify the locations, that means most comfort zones and least comfort zones. And here we use the temperature as our criteria. We generate solar radiation map in downtown Guthrie and to see how hot it is in downtown Guthrie, especially in summer. So we could see the blue and red, the blue and green colors show the cool areas. There are not too many, but the red areas shows that areas will be very hot. And because some areas are cool because they can get the shades from trees and buildings, but for the hot areas, they cannot get too much, so they receive the most suns. We have an example to show how temperature changes in downtown Guthrie, and we picked the July 1st, and we could see before 10 a.m. and after 4 p.m., Guthrie will be okay. Its temperature is roughly 30 Celsius degrees. I think they are comfortable for people to stay there, but we have to consider at 12 p.m., most areas are hot, and some of them are more than 35 Celsius degrees. And also we generate many pictures to show the shadow changes in downtown Guthrie. And we didn't put them in the presentation, so if you want to see them, you can find them in the report. So based on the solar radiation map and also the shadow changes, we generate our final conclusion photo that shows how many comfort zones downtown Guthrie have and how many zones the downtown Guthrie have for hot areas. I mean, the blue color shows the cool areas, they are comfortable, but the red color shows this area will be least comfortable. And we need to do something to improve them. And this work will be done by our Parklet group. Thank you.
Okay, so do you want us to stop here or keep going?
Keep going,
Keep going.
sir.
Okay. My name's Portia Owens, and I'm also a planning student at OU.
I'm Patrick Lassen, and we were the Parklet group, so we're going to talk to you a little bit about how Parklets could be used to improve the experience in Guthrie.
Okay, so overall, we thought that a Parklet in Guthrie could really help with the desire for more shade and greater weather protection downtown, and that it would also really help create an entertainment district downtown. It would help revamp the city potential. It's inexpensive, affordable, and it would really contribute to city revenue. Overall, for anyone that's not that doesn't know what a parklet is yet, a parklet is a small urban park typically located in the public right-of-way. Parklets can be public or private spaces, and they convert single-use or underutilized spaces into more multi-use urban pockets. They can be attractive green spaces, urban design features, places for passive or active recreation, and spaces for entertainment. And they can also be temporary, permanent, or mobile. As two case studies that would be a good example for Guthrie, we found Parking Day in LA. These are temporary installations, and even though LA is a larger city, we found that they were extremely affordable. Most of the installations ranged from $50 to $300 based on what materials were used and what the construction costs. And then a little closer to home, we looked at Parking Day OKC. This is actually some pictures we took in Uptown, and this parklet was actually free of cost. Better Block actually helped construct the parklet and donated most of the materials. So Parklet in Guthrie, we looked at a lot of the opportunities that a parklet could provide for downtown Guthrie. We thought that it could really foster a sense of community. It could bring people together to, put together a project that would be very unique. It would enhance the downtown experience, encourage pedestrian activity and walkability, and provide cost-effective solutions to several design challenges. Specifically, we're looking at shade. It can also contribute to the economic development of the downtown, promote a creative and unique design opportunity for the city, create a more comfortable microclimate, and create spaces with attractive landscaping. For most of these opportunities, we found that a parklet could really provide, help create downtown as an entertainment district, bring people to the downtown, give them a reason to spend time and interact with each other in the downtown area.
Okay, so for this part of the presentation, we focused in on the shadow study that the previous group did, and we selected a couple locations to just do a few mock-ups for what a parklet could look like in Guthrie. So the first location is outside the Pollard Theater. We just thought that, putting a simple stage and some seating and maybe some street trees outside the theater could generate a place for first people to sit down and rest. It could be an asset for the theater to, advertise any plays or anything they may have coming up. Maybe generate some revenue if people want to give donations. And it would also satisfy one of the main desires that was pointed out by the survey group, which is street performers. So we figured this would be a great addition to an outdoor festival that Guthrie might have. Another one is a simple mobile parklet, which, again, if anybody in town just has a pickup truck and a trailer, this would be essentially free. People could just put it together fairly simply in a day, and it could move around town from location to location depending on where the crowds are, or, if different events close at certain times and others open. So it's a very versatile concept that is fairly easy. And then some more permanent designs. This is just showing a couple mock-ups in the public right-of-way and how they would impact the street frontage and the parking spaces areas. You can see that, they don't take up very much area at all, 2 or 3 parking spaces at most, and you get several tables, maybe 10 to 15 people could occupy one of these spaces, and these could be outside of business. They could, increase the capacity for maybe like, say, a restaurant like the Bluebell, for instance, if it's a very high density event with a lot of people, I'm sure they would love to have 3 or 4 more tables to generate some revenue. So, plus if it's nice outside, people like to sit outside. It's a good way to pull people in. And this was just a quick idea for having something in Harrison Square, which the next group is going to talk in more depth about. But one of the things that we noticed when we were handing out the surveys was that this area was really, really heavily utilized, even though it was in the sun and extremely hot, but people still, between the stage being there and it being such a prime location in the downtown, people really wanted to occupy this space. So enhancing it in any way, just with seating or shade of street trees, would be a tremendous asset to the city for the downtown area.
Okay. And parklets are really actually simple to implement for the city. Right here, we kind of just came up with a few ideas for policy recommendations if you were interested in implementing parklets in Guthrie. One would be to create or designate a responsible agency. You can create even a committee within Guthrie that would be the Parklet Committee that would be the spearhead for all of these events. They could create a permitting process and even develop a set of urban guidelines. If one of the challenges we would like to solve is the shade problem, you could have a design guideline that maybe the parklets have to have some sort of shade, some sort of seating incorporated in their design. Also, since everyone that we spoke to really liked the historic downtown, you could have some parklets that in some way complemented the historic downtown, the facades of the buildings. And finally, work to attract potential groups to participate. Potential groups would be nonprofits, school groups, local businesses, schools, and neighborhood organizations. So you can really work to get the entire community involved, not just a few businesses downtown, but really everyone in the town. And it would really help Guthrie transform as an event destination while also including the local community. And now we're going to move to Harrison Square, which is another design opportunity for Guthrie.
In just one moment, actually what we would like to do, Mayor, if you would like to, we're going to pause here, finish up our workshop, and then, go ahead.
Yeah, and then we're going to start the city council at 7 o'clock and then let y'all finish. We've got a special place in there for that. We want to ask all of you that are here to stay, the best is yet to come on this presentation. I want to promise you that. So I know we got a break here. We got to finish this workshop. We're going to take a quick break. 7 o'clock we'll start the council meeting. We'll do some business. Then we'll let the OU students finish it up and we'll go from there. So if you'll bear with us for just a few more minutes, we'll get going from there. All right, item number 3, discussion regarding agenda items. Council, anybody have any questions on anything? All right, number 4, request for future items of discussion.
Just to let you know, we have asked ODOT to come and give us a briefing on the November 5th council meeting regards to the viaduct.
I won't be there, but that's.
Yeah, you'll be here.
I won't either.
You won't. We'll record it for you.
Yeah, we'll save it for you. All right, so on November the 5th, we got the ODOT coming for viaduct, so if you want to come in and watch that.
Someone else asked the pointed questions for me.
Yeah, that was
We
for
will.
you. That was for you. All right, any other future items of discussion? That's it?
Sorry, traffic lights. We were discussing if you did see that Oklahoma and Wentz has been blinking since last Friday, it is because of an electrical hit that traffic box took, and we are looking to repair it for $8,000.
I think it's quite obvious it doesn't have enough shade.
We tried to tell the insurance company that, they didn't go for it.
All right, any other items on number 4? All right. Again, we're going to adjourn here in just a moment. We got some time. Restrooms both directions, breath of fresh air, and then if we need more chairs, we'll try and find them. We'll stay just like we are, then we'll come back. We'll open up city council at 7 o'clock.
And they can't ask the OU students what they have to wait.
All right, we are adjourned.